All right, so with talks of conference realignment, conference expansion kind of coming up again, today we're going to be taking a look at some ACC candidates for what could happen if, we were to have another round of conference realignment. Now, the discussion currently is what's looking like, the Big Ten and the SEC are obviously the top dogs now, but there's talks of them both going to like super conferences and basically cannibalizing the ACC. And essentially, what would happen is you would lose Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, Miami, Virginia, Duke, all the bigger schools in the ACC would essentially go to the Big Ten and the SEC, kind of split up. And then most likely what will happen after that, the leftovers will be swallowed up by the Big 12 is probably going to happen as these teams look to kind of get to 20 teams, 24 teams is kind of what the rumors are as of right now. But with this, what we're going to be looking at is, let's say that does happen or doesn't happen. If the ACC tried to expand a little bit, kind of tried to save themselves and be still a Power 5, I guess technically it's Power 4 now because the Pac-12 is gone, but try to stay within, the powers of the conferences. So Big 12, SEC, Big 10, try to stay with those conferences and who they would try to pick up from, the group of 5 schools. All right, so first off, let's look at some honorable mentions here. Let me go ahead and capitalize that because it's going to bother me. All right, so honorable mentions here. These are in no particular order, by the way, the honorable mentions. Now, the other list, my actual top 10 that we're going to get to here in a second, is in order, but honorable mentions, no list, are in no order. So first up, Utah State. Okay, so we've already added Cal and Stanford to the ACC. Why not go ahead and go out that way as well? So Utah, let's say they're committed to the Big 12. We can add in Utah State, kind of get our foot in that door, maybe be able to compete with Utah a little bit. Number 5, Boise State. All right, so you've seen their name thrown around in realignment talks for the last 15 to 20 years. Ever since they won that Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma way back when, they've kind of been thrown around here. They're good in football. They're good in basketball. Why not add them? Would get your foot in the Idaho door. Number 4, Colorado State. Okay, so the Big 12 added Colorado. Let's go ahead and get our foot in Colorado as well with Colorado State. Definitely one of the bigger markets for a group of 5 schools and would be a solid add, to kind of give you another West team out on the West Coast. Number 2, Appalachian State. Okay, so kind of fits the region a little bit. Still a fairly new Division I FBS school. I say Division I. I don't know if they go by that anymore, but FBS school. But they're good in football. Arguably, a top 25-ish team almost every year. Could definitely bring you some revenue in football and give you some competitiveness really in football too. All right, number 1 here. Again, this is no order for the honorable mentions. Rice. All right, so I have seen some places kind of associate Rice going to the ACC potentially, kind of give SMU a partner down in Texas and kind of give you a competitiveness with, the Houston area. That way Houston and really the Big 12 doesn't just control Houston. You can kind of get your foot in the door, get the ACC a little Texas action. You know what I mean? Like I said, you're adding SMU now. So you've kind of got that northern DFW region. Go down to Houston and add Rice as well. All right, so now diving into my top 10, and these are in order. Starting off at number 10, San Diego State. All right, so they didn't fit the original, ACC where they are as far as in the coast. But as of how conference expansion is going now, that doesn't matter. Every conference is trying to get East Coast to West Coast. Does not matter where you were originally. So, like I said, we've added Cal, we've added Stanford. Let's add San Diego State, get in the California region, and add a competitive partner. They're okay in football sometimes, but they're really good in basketball and bring you a ton of money as far as an open market and really can be competitive in basketball as well. All right, number 9, UConn. All right, so UConn, now these top 9 teams I actually have seen really associated with the ACC before, as in like the ACC has contacted these schools before, besides number 1. Number 1 they haven't contacted, but they have contacted these schools before. All right, so UConn could offer you a ton in basketball as well. So let's say you want to go the basketball route, add 2 good basketball schools. You could add UConn, San Diego State. And UConn, they've got, I think, Jim Moore is their head football coach right now. Not the greatest football school, but they can offer you some money in that as well. And kind of really branch you out towards the East Coast as well. Didn't think about that. Excuse me. Didn't think about saying that, but yeah, they could, expand your region to the East Coast as far as the ACC is concerned. All right, Navy. So these schools here, I really, like I said, I've seen associated with the ACC in talks before. They have reached out to these schools and contacted them before. Navy is probably the best group of five school as far as moneymaker wise is concerned. I know I think they're in their American conference now, but Navy offers you a ton in the market because if anybody was in the Navy, they're going to be a Navy fan, and you've got other people that are just watching Navy just because. So definitely bring you a television market, and would get more television. So your games are going to be televised for sure, and people are going to watch. All right, number 7. Okay, so 7 through 2, actually the ACC reached out to this summer. I can't confirm that. So number 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2, the ACC reached out during the summer to kind of get feelers on if they'd be interested, and kind of really for the ACC to weigh their options as well. So this was when they were looking at, obviously they ended up adding SMU, Cal, and Stanford. But if they were to add somebody else from this region, okay, so these are really ACC region schools. So they're all around the surrounding area, and they have some success as group of five schools. Number 7, UAB. All right, so UAB is still a recently new football program after they kind of eliminated their program and then brought it back, but could offer you some money. They're in the UAB market, so that is Alabama. All right, and could kind of get you, I won't say too much recruits from Alabama, but could kind of help a little bit more than what you get now, at least. All right, number 6, Tulsa. All right, so Tulsa is in Oklahoma, for those that don't know. So you don't have an Oklahoma school. As of right now, you've got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are the main Oklahoma schools. Tulsa, really with a lot of these schools, you're pulling from the American Athletic Conference. Tulsa would be an intriguing option. Kind of, I won't say too much west. It's really central, but, as far as the ACC is concerned, kind of get you another school out in that western area. Kind of right with SMU. Number 5, East Carolina. Okay, so they fit the ACC region and are really one of the better group of five money makers as far as revenue is concerned. One of the more watched group of five schools as well. And like I said, top 10 in the revenue market as far as college football is concerned for group of five schools. All right, number 4, Tulane, another team that kind of fits that region there. I'm doing this like y'all can see a map, but I'm envisioning it in my head right now. All right, 4, Tulane. All right, they've had a ton of success in football, and they're doing pretty good in basketball this year as well. They pulled in, all right, after their head coach went to Houston, Willie Fritz, they pulled in Troy's head coach, John Summerall. And if they can pull in Troy's head coach, which is pretty successful in his own right at Troy, then they're definitely one of the better group of five schools as far as money is concerned. And definitely just in people's eyes, one of the higher group of five schools. In Louisiana, you kind of hopefully could compete with LSU a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to reach LSU standards, but you could pull in a Louisiana school, get that New Orleans market, and kind of compete with, LSU in some form or fashion. You could pull some of the recruits they might lose that you could offer them a, quicker way to start than they would get at LSU. All right, number 3, Memphis, one of the better markets that's not a Power 5 school. I'm really surprised they're not a Power 5 school yet. Always pretty good at football. They were in my top 25, some a little bit this year in my AG poll. They're a great basketball school and just in a pretty good market there in Memphis. You know what I mean? So Memphis, one of the bigger cities in America, you kind of get some competition with Tennessee, hopefully, by bringing them in, would be an intriguing option. All right, number 2, USF. All right, so let's say this is kind of if I would say Florida State leaves, you bring in USF, keep your foot. I won't say get your foot in, keep your foot in the Florida door. And while you are losing Florida State, not saying USF is anywhere near Florida State, but you're pulling in one of the more upward trajectory group of five schools. So you look at like USF, how they're recruiting right now, how their transfers are coming in. They're getting a lot of good looking players, and they're trending up. They I think had 6. They're making a bowl game this year. I want to say 6 wins, but pretty successful season compared to what they have had the past couple of years. They're in the American right now. They're in a pretty good market there. Can make you a ton of money, give you another Florida school to compete with, like the Gators, compete with maybe Florida State potentially if they leave and join the SEC or Big Ten. All right, and number 1 here, these two schools don't have what's the word I'm looking for here? Don't have ACC ties, but this does give you two partners with Cal and Stanford. Okay, so you get out west as well again. All right, and these are kind of the leftovers from the Pac-12 crumbling. All right, so this is probably if somebody pulls in a group, I say group of five score right now, it's going to be these two schools most likely because they've already, while they may not eventually be as good as some of the schools on this list, they've got a head start. So as of right now, they are. I mean, as of right now, they're a better market. They're better teams. They've got more money. They've got better facilities. They've got more fans because they've been in Power 5 school before. They kind of already have a head start. So they were number one in my Big 12 conference expansion candidate list as well, just because they already got their, leg up on the rest of these schools. But while they don't fit, like I said, the ACC exactly, they are intriguing options nonetheless. Both these schools have been okay the last couple of years. Oregon State was pretty good this year. Washington State was almost in the top 10 at one point and then just, kind of free falled after that. But definitely will be intriguing options to pair with Cal and Stanford and SMU out there. But that is my list for if something happens, if we go to more college expansion, conference expansion, because ultimately it's pretty much inevitable. It's going to happen eventually. But that is my list. Let me know who you would move down, who you would move up, who you would put on this list. Let me know. Comment down below, like this video, and subscribe.